This is FSPN, the most trusted name in fake news. It is high, it is far. It is Thursday, February the 19th, 2026. I am Frankie from Flatbush. This is the Frankie from Flatbush show, and we're talking about the Jets and the NFL and all the goings on in that realm and reality. And we have a docket, don't we, Frankie? Yes, we do. All right, first up on the docket, Jets Buzz rosterings. So we got some rosterings, some roster stuff to go on. Breeze Hall just put out a tweet talking about talking about his television shows that he likes. Is Lord of Rings really that good? Breeze says. Never watched it. I'm more of a Harry Potter guy myself. This is what Breeze. So then you have people like Zack the Hack Rosenblatt writing about Brees Hall's free 20, hashtags and things like that. This is what the kid really talks about. Video games, television series. Are we going to sign him? We don't know. It seems like a 50-50 proposition, but I think that's an important part of the offseason. Hopefully we get some news soon. Brees Hall signs 3 years, $30 million, $33 million, $35 million, $36 million, something like that. It's a lot of millions, Brees, that you can get by signing with the Jets. Stay where you are. Don't got to move. Very familiar. Imagine if we could get Brees Hall. Let's say we can't even get AVT. He's going to be too expensive for our blood. He's going to get a great deal to go back to California, something like that. All right. Well, we get Johnny Simpson. That's basically the same line we had last year. And you expect Tipman and Olu and Mambu to get better. Now imagine we're able to secure a quarterback. What does that do for Brees Hall? He's a running back, yeah. But imagine the threat balance with a guy like Derek Carr, a good, not great quarterback. I mean, this is something that people don't really understand. I don't understand why people think we're so far away. If we could just get Derek freaking Carr, we got to convince him. First you sign Breezy, then you sign either AVT if he's too expensive. All right, go to John Simpson. Not a problem. And then you go, okay, that's basically the same running game we had last year. Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert, both coming back. We're ninth in the league, and we didn't have a quarterback. Do you understand? When there's no threat of the passing game and you're still a top 10 unit rushing-wise, that's actually a great accomplishment. So, I don't know. Anyway, ABT Simpson, no word yet now. We did receive word that Wyatt Teller's not going back to the Cleveland Browns. That's a guy. We may view him as an upgrade on Simpson. Let's say we can't get ABT. Now, ABT's better than him, but let's say we can't get ABT, too expensive. We might prefer Wyatt Teller. Now, he's 31 years old. He had an average PFF grade last year, but Billy Moose Gravy, our new quarterback coach, knows him from Cleveland, so maybe that's the way we go. Maybe we prefer a Wyatt Teller to Johnny Simpson. He's probably a little better than Simpson at this point. Simpson a little younger. Teller probably a little better, but that's another guy that came to market now. There's going to be lots of other people coming to market, too, because a lot of people are saying, well, look at this free agent pool, it's not very good. Well, there's going to be a lot of cap casualties, and those cap casualties, just like Wyatt Teller, aren't yet known. And when they start happening, some have happened already, but when they start happening, then the pool of free agents gets wider and wider and wider. So, that means we have more to pick from, and somebody's going to have to say yes to us. We also heard Lane Johnson's coming back. I guess that's good. So now the Eagles won't be in the market for a right tackle. So now what about it came the other piece of news in terms of a roster concern is that the Dolphins might be looking to trade Minkah Fitzpatrick. And you might say, well, Minkah Fitzpatrick, isn't he too old and stinky? Nope. If we could trade a day 3 pick for Minkah, boy, should we. He's still elite. We take on the contract, and that's a relief to the Dolphins. Apparently, the Dolphins are going to do a full, complete rebuild, I guess. Right now, they have Jalen Waddle, Devon Achan, and that's about it. I guess Jordan Brooks, Zach Sealer, Minka. Not much talent outside of that. Brewer, the center's pretty good. Maybe Jonas Avanilla turns out to be good, but not a ton of talent. So what the hell are they going to do? Well, the idea is they're going through a full rebuild, and so they're looking to trade Minka. Well, the Jets should be interested. Yes, you raise your hand and say, yes, sir, we'll take the contract, no problem. In fact, we'll give him a contract extension, so make it good for the player. If they're willing to trade him for a 5th-round pick, oh yeah. But it makes sense for them if that's the best they can get for him, because we got cap space. We got a big need at safety, and that would mean we just need one more from the draft, and that would be perfect. And we'd be willing to extend Minka so him and his agent will be happy. Give him a 2-year extension. He's only 29 years old. And, 30, 31, give him an extension, give him some guaranteed money. Could work out. I would love to have Minka Fitzpatrick here. And from their point of view, they don't care who they make a trade with. In terms, if they're going to do a full rebuild, then they don't care if they're trading in division. What do they care? They're not going to compete next year under any circumstances. So, might as well take the draft pick. Now, I would think a bunch of teams probably would want to trade for him. Maybe. But we got to see. But if Muji's smart, yeah, you look into that. You look into that for sure. Love to have Minka on this here team. All right, second point on the docket. We got media sizzle. Clown show continues. There's such a clown show of media. Rub it in Rich Cimini. One of the things I noticed about him, he is the data point plucker. He will pluck any piece of data point that wants to fit his narrative. He's the same guy who said, he said a lot of things. I don't know. But anyway, what he'll do is he'll take data, any data point, like Breece Hall's average speed on next-gen stats was the lowest it's been the last 2 years. Like anybody ever looks at that. He'll just take any obscure data point to make his point to say, well, maybe Breece isn't that good, actually. If it's looking like the Jets will sign him. If it's looking like the Jets will sign him, he'll say Breece sucks. If it's looking like the Jets are going to lose him, he'll say Breece is the greatest running back in the history of the football. That's how it works. That's how it works with these scumbags. Now, mocking the mocks, Daniel Jeremiah came out with a mock draft, and it's laughably stupid for the Jets, which only goes to show that Daniel Jeremiah only got our stuff right because his buddy, Joe Douglas, was leaking to him like a sieve. Why Joe Douglas was doing that, I don't know, but he had us taking Iona Vega at 16. Now, Vega's a good player, the guard out of Penn State. Maybe I got his name reversed. I don't know. This Vega kid. In any case, he's a really good player, and it wouldn't be a bad pick in a vacuum. But the problem is we'll be wasting a first round. Then we'll have spent a first-round pick on Olu, a first-round pick on Mambu, a second-round pick on Tipman, and then a first-round pick on this kid. No, we're not doing that. It's so dumb. When you could just sign Simpson or Teller or AVT or some guard with just money, especially considering how bad our defense is. The beautiful thing about signing a Carr or a Cousins in free agency and, let's say, a Romy the Homie, Dobbs, or Wan'Dale Robinson, people like that, a wide receiver, is that then the first 4 picks of the NFL draft are all going to be defense, which we need desperately to add as much blue chip talent and red chip and any kind of chip talent to the defense. Offensive line is not a place for us to spend our draft picks, our premium picks. Absolutely not. The only thing you could consider at 16 on the offense is wide receiver. But that's only if we strike out completely in the free agent market. Then you could consider it because it's so important. But other than that, no. Not for offensive line, not for tight end, not for running back. No. No, sir. And this just goes to show what a clown Daniel Jeremiah is. This is the same guy who said before the draft, Zach Wilson is a perfect fit for what Mike LaFleur's offense will be with the Jets. Perfect fit, his words. Then, 2 years later, after not working with Zack very well, and Rich Eisen asked him, well, then if he's not working this well, if he doesn't have what you need to get the job done, why did the Jets pick him? Eisen asks Jeremiah. Jeremiah looks him dead in the eye and says, I have no idea. 2 years earlier, you just said he was a perfect fit, dumbass. And these guys, they suffer no consequences at all for their dumbassery. There can be so much dumbassery out there, and nobody runs up to this person and smashes him in the face with a pie or something like that. Remember, used to be you could get pie-faced. You get a face full of pie. Remember somebody did that to Bill Gates back in the day? Nobody ever embarrasses these guys. Nobody even brings up their past. Nobody brings up their history. Nobody remembers what they said. It's kind of disheartening. But anyway, Daniel Jeremiah gets to live a life of luxury. He gets to have butlers and French maids and having people wipe his own ass and have golden toilets. And the rest of us suffer through our lives. And he lives a life of luxury. Now, Rosenblatherings came out with something, Zack the Hack Rosenblatt. And he came out with something for the college, for the draft. Now, this is a guy who never watches college football in his whole life. So what kind of comments is he going to have about the draft? Well, he just steals from Dane Brugler. Now, he gives Dane Brugler credit, of course. They both work for The Athletic. But I think Dane Brugler should get 50% of Zack the Hack Rosenblatt's pay. Rosenblatt writes an article where all he does is quote Brugler. This is what Brugler says about Reese. This is what Brugler says about Bain. This is what Brugler says about this one and that one. Shouldn't he get some money? I mean, Rosenblatt gets money to write this column, and all he does is quote Brugler. Why don't we just go to Brugler then? What do we need? What do we need that Zack the Hack for? And then Zack the Hack puts out a tweet. You've seen this, me comment on this if you follow me on X, which you should, Flatbush Frankie. And by the way, you should also subscribe to this channel because you want to support the independent media. You don't want to support dummies like Zack Rosenblatt. So hit the subscribe button. Consider joining the inner circle where you get exclusive items. That's the join button down below. But in any case, Rosenblatt puts out a tweet about staying at a robot hotel, a hotel where robots are delivering him food and desserts and wines all through the night. This is the kind of life this man gets to lead. Meanwhile, poor Dane Brugler, one of the best talent evaluators and draft guide rider-uppers out there, he's struggling. His eyes are bleeding. He's watching so much film on 2,000 prospects. And Rosenblatt gets to just write a column where he quotes Brugler and gets to live in robot hotels. What's that about? That's ridiculous. Dane, you got to go to your colleague and say, give me some money for this, asshole. You're just quoting my shit. I'm sitting here. My eyes are bleeding. I'm watching 10 million hours of tape per day trying to write up scouting reports for the nickel cornerback from the Who the Fuck Cares State. And you're over here getting robots delivering you wine and dessert and fine foods. What is going on? Crazy. And Brugler doesn't even confront the man. He just goes, okay, okay, good, I guess. What is going on? And then, okay, so next item, we have a media conflict regarding Aaron Rodgers. We have two reporters, Kaboly, Mark Kaboly, I think his name is, Mark, whatever Kaboly's name is. He's a beat reporter for the Steelers. And then you have Aditi Kinkabuala, a.k.a. Kinky, and they're saying opposite things about Aaron Rodgers returning. Kaboly's saying 99% sure and very, very confident he's returning to the Steelers. Kinky Friedman saying, nope, minuscule chance Rodgers is returning. So now, how do we differentiate these people? Like, how do we... And this is one of the things that you can do to filter your media, because in the modern day, you have to filter your media. Now, when you have a situation like this, you just go, okay, one's saying this, the other's saying the opposite. What happens? If he comes back, then just mute, delete, block Kinkabuala. Kinky. Her friends got to call her Kinky, right? Her name's Kinkabuala. They're not calling her Kinky. uh, so Kaboly, Matt, Mark, I don't know, but Kaboly saying the opposite of what Kinky's saying. So whoever gets it right, mute, block, delete, get rid of. They're not good. And that's how you filter. You see who says something, and then does it come true or not? And some people are hard to get rid of. Like, you can't really get rid of Daniel Jeremiah. He is too big. He gets enough right that you really can't mute him. So some people are just unmutable because they just know too much. They're too influential. You got to kind of know what they're saying, especially if you're FSPN. But Kinkabuala, Kaboly, those guys are on the fringe of informing FSPN. And so I will ignore the one who gets it wrong. Speaking of people who get things wrong, then we have Jason Lacanfora. Now, this person, and again, I'm giving you methods for understanding how these media people should be treated in what you absorb and don't absorb. Jason Lacanfora got fired from Washington Post. Then he got fired from his radio gig on The Fan 105.7, whatever it is, in Baltimore. So in the last few months, he's gotten fired twice. Now, sometimes Lacanfora has good information, and sometimes he does not. Now he's working for something called Sports Boom, which is a gambling site for degenerate gamblers. So he's saying that the Raiders are not trading that first pick at all. Whereas I got another report from some other source that said, the Raiders are kind of open to it. They're listening. They might not. They're not sure what they want to do yet. Lacanfora is saying, well, forget it. They're just not doing it. And he's got, anonymous sources, the old Anani sources that he could just be making up. And again, he got fired from the radio show, he got fired from the Washington Post, and now he's working for a degenerate gambler's website called Sports Boom. And so it's very important for Jason Lacanfora, for example, to get his stuff into the aggregators. This is a good point to make because a lot of these guys, they have to get their information, and this also pertains to Tony Pauline, terrible also, gets fired all the time. They have to get their information into the aggregator. If they get their name into the aggregator, that gets their name out there, and they can go and apply to different jobs and say, look, I'm being featured in the aggregators all the time. Look at this information I'm providing. I got sources. I got lots of sources over here. And so look at and hire me. But so he landed at sportsboom.com just to have some kind of, and how much vetting and how much editorial ethics do you think they have at sportsboom.com, a degenerate gambler site, where it says about us, we love gambling, we're all about gambling, gambling is so amazing, we love gambling. This is in their about us section. So how much editorial ethics do you think sportsboom.com has? We got to check that source, Lacanfora. We got to check it 9 ways to Sunday. We got to get 3 different people with different points of view to check it out because they're just going with it. What do you think they're doing? So Lacanfora gets what he needs. He gets into the aggregator, gets into NFLrumors.com or ProFootballRumors.com. Right, that website, that's the main aggregator. There are other aggregator sites. And then that way, so that's what's going on with him. Does that mean we know what the Raiders are doing? No. And here's the game that they play. If the Raiders don't trade the pick, then he could say, see, I told you they were not open to it. And if they do trade it, then he could say, well, something changed. He just says, they found something out about, Fernando Mendoza they didn't like, or they decided to sign Kirk Cousins. Once they signed Kirk Cousins, of course, then they were open to it because something had changed. My reporting wasn't wrong. Circumstances changed, don't you see? And that's the games they play. So that's the way it is, and we keep track of these media clowns. They're a bunch of media clowns. And now we got another media clown, Mina Kimes. the fish face herself, talking about, I think Malik Willis works great for the Steelers. I'm hearing Steelers with Malik Willis. 6 games started his whole life in the NFL, 1 game start last year. He's going to go to a very veteran team, the Steelers, and they're going to take that big of a chance? Now, he could be great. Maybe it works, but I don't know. But then again, so then you would put Mina Kimes into the... Now, Mina Kimes for me is already... But you still hear about it. It's weird because there's all these aggregators. It's almost hard to avoid them. Even if you block and mute and avoid, delete, get rid of, they still come back like dead people rising from the grave. You can't kill these people, metaphorically. So obviously she doesn't think Rodgers is going to go to the Steelers if you're saying they're going to sign Malik Willis. And they may well sign him. I don't know. I mean, who really knows what these teams are going to do? But it just seems like a very big risk for the Steelers to go with someone with so little experience, even if the upside is very high. When you have a Cam Hayward and a TJ Watt and a very veteran team, pretty much on its last legs, unless you're going to do a full rebuild, that's an awfully big chance to take. But maybe that's the way they're going to go, especially when they already have a young quarterback on the roster, Will Howard. Why wouldn't they just go with Will Howard then? He doesn't have much experience either, but they already have him on the roster, not going to cost them much. And then they could go and spend on wide receiver and, replace some of their old defensive backs and stuff like that. But what do I know? She's hearing it, so she got to get into the aggregators. Now, a lot of these people also, the other trick of the trade is a lot of these people are CAA clients. So the players, the commentators, the media people, the players themselves, the agents, they can all be from CAA. And so the coaches. And so a lot of times you will see people, propping up a player in a conversation because they're all CAA clients. Mina Kimes is a CAA client. That's why she's all over the place. No matter what she says, no matter how stupid, no matter how many times she's wrong, she's going to keep coming back. Again, like something out of the grave. And that's the way it works. All right, what's number 3? Late breaking news. So we're going to have a quick one today. Not a ton of news from the NFL. We're going to start getting news next week when they go to the combine and everybody starts talking to people. So what we're going to do is check the wires right now. And nothing really here. Let's see. NFL. Well, the U.S. women won a gold medal in hockey. So that's good. Congratulations to the USA women's hockey team. See if there's anything else late breaking. Doesn't seem to be. Mark Kaboly, that's what it is. Mark, not Matt. Kaboly. No, doesn't seem to be any late breaking news. So that'll do it. That'll do it for this Thursday. We'll do a live stream tomorrow. So come hang out. If you have any questions, comments, save it for a live stream. We're doing a live stream tomorrow night. We'll do a Friday night hang. See if anybody wants to hang out and chat. And then we'll come back coffee with Frankie on Sunday. Why not check it out? Save your comments, questions, but you got to be a subscriber to comment in the live stream. So subscribe right now. Just do it. Take a second. Do it. And if you want to spend a couple bucks a month getting free, exclusive, awesome information, well, not really free. It's $2 a month. Join the inner circle by clicking the join button down below. And with that being said, I will see you next time.